I would like to thank the squad host for allowing us to use the space. Thank you, SOC, for having us. And of course, when I asked you to say when, where, and what time. So I appreciate you for doing that. So this is our third one. I would like to acknowledge we have some council people here in the audience. I see Councilman Tim Beatrice. I think that's the only one this evening. Am I missing anyone? And then half the room is department heads. So, and departments. So, again, thank you again. I do want to do a few announcements just to make sure we give some time because we have our special events director, Terry, here. I know Mr. Will Walker, and the park department, we have our superintendent, Shannon Eason here, and also several members from that team. So on the back table is a list of a host of things that are happening throughout the summer with the park department. The park department is doing a lot of programming this year, a lot of events for the youth that are occurring. We're offering scholarships for certain things for families. So the goal, again, like last year, is to make sure the young people have plenty of things to do. But they're even doing things for people who are young at heart like ourselves in our age group as well. So it's not just for kids. It's for us who are young at heart who want to do some things. I do have an announcement. I know Saturday, and hopefully it doesn't rain, we're going to have our second Move with the Mayor event at Pullman Field. Registration starts at 10:30. Franciscan has been a great partner in that. I know we've been talking about hypertension and diabetes. We have a high rate of that throughout Michigan City. So we've been really focusing and having speakers as well as activities on those Saturdays. So this one is this Saturday at Pullman Field, but next Saturday is the grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony for the Water Tower Park, and that's where our third Move with the Mayor will be held. So again, a lot of activities happening until that time. So before we get into the forum, just and for many of you have come to multiple, so you don't have to fill out a card or anything unless you have a question. It's small enough that we've been able to just let people ask the question and we can answer. You don't have to necessarily write it down. So it's up to you. If you want to fill it out, if you haven't though, we've already started identifying people for the task forces. So the goal is to get those kind of like a summer study committee. One of them is opioids. We've identified people who want to be on that, but it's not too late. The council, I'd like to thank the council. They appropriated $175,000 towards grants for opioids. So we're going to be looking at that. We've also identified people for our trash and beautification task force. So it's still not too late. I know we purchased a trailer for some cleanups. I know that also Chris Yagelski and Chris Carter and Brett Kelly, they're working on a dumpster program as well. So a lot of cool things happening. I think, oh, no, you're not on the council anymore. I was gonna say Gene Simmons is here from the council. Went backwards a little bit. So a lot of cool things because we know that it's gonna take more than just our employees, but it's going to take residents to help as well. So we do have money set aside for beautification and these projects around garbage and beautifying the different neighborhoods. I know that Elston Grove and Eastport have been getting some funds, but we also have funds set aside for newly established neighborhood groups. So the goal is the more neighborhood groups you have, the more engaged the neighborhoods are, the better equipped we'll be to provide services to the community. Because I think we've gotten away from that. And I think people don't want dirty neighborhoods, they don't. And I think it's on us to do more. A couple of other updates before I have some announcements. I know that I would like to thank our code enforcement team. We've had a couple of situations. I know in the news we had something about the hotel that was shut down. I would like to thank all the social services and Kelly from our team, helping those displaced families. We're still continuing to help them and assist them, but we cannot allow any resident, regardless of where they live, to live in poor conditions that are not safe. So I think it's important for us as the city to continue to identify areas where we just have to hold people to the standards of our code. I know, a business owner may be mad or whatever. The other one is dealing with these so-called spa, whatever you want to call them, massage parlors that have sprung up that are closed right now. I will say it's going to take residents to support us. We're following codes. People go through the state and get their licensing, but it's going to take not just myself and code enforcement. It's going to take residents who don't want this in their neighborhoods. So again, they're going to continue to try to pop up and to establish themselves legally. But again, I don't want them here. When I was notified, we immediately, and the police, I'd like to thank the police for beginning their investigation last year and finally getting something done. But again, they're still trying to open, okay? They're trying to go through it legally, but again, we don't want them here. I don't want them here, and we're going to do our best to keep them out of here. So, without breaking the law. So, just wanted to give an update on that, but again, we are working to make sure that those displaced families are placed and have whatever assistance they need. So without that, I'm gonna have Terry come up with some advance before we start getting into questions and answers. You know all your dates by heart?
Sure. Maybe. Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm Terry Reed. I'm the Director of Special Events for the City of Michigan City. We are now on what we call our freight train events. Start up here very soon. We just, as you all know, we had our St. Patrick's Day parade, which was a huge success. Our Easter egg hunt, which I see some people in the room here who helped us stuff all 20,000 eggs. And I think the kids were able to pick up 20,000 eggs in about 3.5 minutes. So we're staying on a pretty good pace there. Our next big event is this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, on Saturday and Sunday down at Washington Park at the Guy Foreman Amphitheater. We've partnered with Vic Thierry from Harbor Country Adventures, and we're putting on the MC Food and Music Festival. This is replacing what used to be called the Food Truck Festival. Right now we have 24 food trucks. On Saturday we have a battle of the bands at the amphitheater. And then on Sunday, we'll have music pretty much all day. I believe everything runs from 11 to 7, both Saturday and Sunday. The next big event after that is our Juneteenth celebration. It's on June 19th, which is a Thursday this year. Mayor Angie asked that the Special Events Department and the Park Department take that event and put it on this year. We've got some other organizations that are working with us. We're really excited about it. It'll be from noon to 10 p.m. at the Guy Foreman Amphitheater. The official schedule will probably come out sometime early next week, which will have all the times and the bands and the performances and speakers. But we're really excited. We've got a great group of people. I think right now we're at 40 artcraft and merchandise vendors for that event. I think we'll have 5 or 6 food trucks. So it's going to be a really nice event, great celebration. That's June 19th, Thursday. That very next Saturday, which is June 21st, is our annual Kitty Parade. And we've already seen a uptick in the number of kids that are in the parade this year, so it's getting bigger. That one's taking us a little bit more time to grow, but June 21st is the Kitty Parade on Franklin Street between 8th Street and 4th Street. And then, let's see, that's June 21st. The very next Saturday, June 28th, we have our annual Patriotic Parade here on Franklin Street. The number of units we have this year continues to grow. I think it's going to be a great parade. I'm going to share with you some exciting news that the press release will go out tomorrow. In the last couple months, I think all of you have heard that on that same day, June 28th here at Ames Field, Braden Fisk, who played at Michigan City High School and now plays for the Los Angeles Rams, is coming into town, and we're going to have a Braden Fisk Family Fun Day at Ames Field. That will follow the parade, and the announcement tomorrow will be that Braden is going to be the official Grand Marshal of the Patriotic Parade. We're very, very excited. I've had a lot of conversations with Braden and his family and his marketing team. We're going to have bounce houses. You didn't hear that. We're going to have bounce houses, a dunk tank that I've been told the mayor is going to get into. So if you don't like what she says tonight, come on the 28th over to put her in a dunk tank. But it's going to be a great event. You know, there's not too many of those big name stars from Michigan City. In fact, that Brady wants to come back. He wanted to come back and be the Grand Marshal, so we decided, you know what, we're just going to have a big festival. So that's going to be a great day, June 28th. July 4th, which is a Friday this year, of course, is our annual fireworks celebration down at Washington Park. I think that'll be even bigger this year because it's a Friday, so that's going to be a pretty crazy weekend. I see our police department back there with cringing faces. But that's July 4th. And then a couple of weeks after that, July 18th, 19th, and 20th will be the 4th annual Singing Sand Sculpting Festival. This event is near and dear to my heart. It's one I really wanted to bring here when I got the job as a special events director, and it's grown every year. This year, we're adding 2 more master sculptors, so there will be 8 master sculptors and 12 semi-professionals. We'll have 20 total sculptors. Right now, we've got 11 groups signed up for the Community Challenge, which last year we donated $10,000 back to local charities. So the Sand Festival is July 18th, 19th, and 20th. Just a few weeks after that, the first weekend in August, we have Great Lakes Grand Prix. Of course, that is put on by the Fort County Convention and Visitors Bureau, but obviously we're extremely heavily involved in that event. So again, that's the first weekend in August. And then that takes us to Labor Day, which is another one of my favorite events. We're so proud that we were able to bring back Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest will be Labor Day weekend. The great thing about Oktoberfest this year is I'm pretty confident that we will have well over 100 art-crafted and merchandise vendors. We'll have somewhere around 12, 14 food trucks. Trying to get more, but we need to pay the parking lot, by the way. So we're
That's on my list.
Shannon and I.
It's on my list.
So that takes us through Labor Day, and so we're not very busy, as you can tell. But no, we're really excited. Eric and I are putting a lot of time and effort into it, and we hope that you guys come out and support the events. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. Great, thanks.
All right, thank you. Also, Janet Block, if you come up for a quick minute, and then we'll go ahead and kick off and start talking about a couple of topics around permitting and some other things.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Janet Block from the Vesnick Center for the Arts, and I know a lot of you in the room, but many of you I don't. I just want to ask for just a second if Michelle from Hitachi is here from Sawyer. Okay. I wanted to announce a project that we're doing in partnership with the city. Many of you know Solaire is one of the largest companies in Michigan City, and they're going to be celebrating their 60th anniversary. In sort of a gift to the city, they wanted to do a mural project, and we are the Vesnick Center is the facilitators. It will not cost the city a penny, and it won't cost them resources of their time, except for maybe Skylar for a few minutes. Who's on our board? So what I just wanted to do is I've actually been trying to get a hold of the people who live behind that retaining wall on Michigan Boulevard. It's the 900 block of Michigan Boulevard. Oh, and I want to thank the Economic Development Committee and Clarence Hulse in particular, and Carolyn for their help to bring us this project, actually, because Solaire reached out to them. So if you you can see the scope of where the project would go, and on the other side, you can see the artist that we think is most suited for this project. I'm happy to hear comments, and there will be more meetings to actually solicit ideas from the community and make sure your voices are heard. But this is the first time we're meeting as a group, and I would just like to make sure that the people on the east side of the city especially know about this. We are actually doing a project with Walker Street Garden as well, so there's a contingent that they know about, and also the Eastport Neighborhood Association. But anybody else that you know in the community, or just as somebody who's a resident, uses the road and has an opinion, I'm happy to hear it. So I left my email, be polite, but we really do want to beautify the neighborhoods, and this is one way that we think is a great way to do it. Do you have anything? Yeah.
Yeah, and they've done multiple mural projects on the west side. The goal is to bring them throughout the city. So we just want to make sure that if you have any questions, did you put these on the back of the table too?
I put them everywhere.
All right. So if you have any questions or would like to volunteer your time,
Oh, yeah.
please reach out to her and we'll get that done.
And especially if you know people that live on the east side that I might not be able to reach, or just people.
The microphone can't hear her, but if anybody's interested on the east side of town, please feel free to reach out. All right, thank you. All right, so you can either fill out cards again. If you have cards, well, Barrett, raise your hand. He'll grab them from you. Fire Chief Taylor will pick them up from you, or again, like I said, just stand up and I'll repeat the question. But if everybody from the city could stand up, and that way, if you have any questions from any of our departments, this is one of the things. Everybody, we try to make sure everybody's here. We have people from the park, vector, street, engineer, airport, cemetery, fire, police, code enforcement, HR, maintenance, central services, street, you name it. So they can, and controller's office, they can answer in any of your questions. All right, brief update on legislation. I know we're getting ready to start. We're gonna hear more financially about, where we stand as far as our tax, the implications from Senate Bill 1. Michigan City wasn't as bad of a spot as some other communities. Also because we are going to, there was legislation for us to get additional funding that we did not receive that was owed to us through some gaming funds and wagering tax. So we'll start getting that money fiscal year 2026 for the next 5 years. So we will be receiving those funds in the tune of about $1.6 million a year. So that is happening. We did enlist the services of a lobbyist this session because there were a lot of things that were impacting the city. I did see Councilman Brian Dabney come in, I believe. That piece is back, all right. So, yeah, if you have any questions, you got 2 council people you can get up on. Other exciting news, again, we've implemented, are still in the middle of implementation, but it's rolled out, is our permitting software. It's still a work in progress with any implementation. It still takes time and effort and working out the kinks and all of that. But let me say this, we've issued about 500 permits since March 1st in the system to the tune of about $200,000. So it's not perfect, and time, it's still taking time. You know, we talked about it the other day, junk in can be junk out still. So we're still working through that and trying to make sure that, you know, we have the right people in place, and still, that's still a growing pain. Permit department, so we're trying to make sure that we got additional resources and people in that department. On another light note, we have 15 interns starting in June. Last year we had 25. They'll be throughout the city. They did a lot of good work for us. Some did ADA, throughout the city in the engineering department, things that really cost money, but really valuable experiences for several of the interns. So we're going to continue to do that. This year we'll have some in planning, someone at the cemetery, the airport, engineer will have some. So again, it's just a wonderful way to give students an opportunity to learn and understand the importance of civic engagement, but also it's cheaper for us to have interns, just to be frank, and I loved all my internships. So I'm gonna open up the floor and just start asking questions, and if I can't answer, again, we'll take it back, bring it back, and if a department head is here that can answer the question, we'll answer it. So, who wants to start? Yes, sir. And I'll repeat the question for those who can't hear.
They'll hear me.
All right.
I'm still, as a homeowner in Michigan City, if I want to do work in my house, do I still need to get a permit through the city?
So if it's your homestead,
Yes.
your homestead, and I don't want to mess this up, so you guys stop me if I say something wrong. Sue, Christine. So, in my opinion, too, part of it, certain things you have to get a permit for, right? Regardless, like electrical work, things like that. So like, let's say you're replacing a toilet. Do I expect you to get a permit to replace a toilet on your homestead? No. But I will say, when I did work on my home years ago. I still had to have Mr. Ron from the electrical inspector back then come and inspect my home, even though I pulled my own permit. I pulled my own permit and I was doing the work, right? So there's certain things, but there's code for that. Who can come up and answer this a little bit more, because I'm not gonna answer it fully. Sue, come on, Sue. The price is right. But again, this is your homestead, right?
Correct.
All right, thank you. That is a great question. Where'd you go?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm right here.
That is a great question. And no, we don't. Maintenance is maintenance. If you're replacing the toilet, if you're replacing a switch in the kitchen, if you're doing basic, you're gonna change the light in your living room, whatever it might be, that's maintenance. Okay, you don't need a permit, you don't need to hire an electrician to do that sort of stuff. It's your house. If you're living there, you're free to do that stuff. If you're gonna do a bathroom remodel, on the other hand, yeah, we want you to pull a permit. Okay, if you're gonna put an addition on, if you're gonna enclose your porch, whatever it might be. So does that?
So if you're saying maintenance, I need my house painted, I'm gonna do it myself, do I need a permit?
You do not need a permit for painting. Now, if you hire somebody to do the painting, that person needs to be registered. We want a copy of their insurance. We want to know their insurance, so when they drop a ladder through the neighbor's house, you don't have to pay for it, okay, that sort of thing. So you can paint, you don't need a permit for painting, but if you hire somebody, we need to make sure that they're registered.
Okay, so I have a not young house, so if I need to replace windows, if I'm doing it myself,
You're replacing one broken window, or you're replacing all the windows in your house?
hopefully not all of them.
Oh, you're replacing one window, replace the window. That's maintenance. Maybe the lead's got broken, maybe the seal's broken, and you got air infiltration or something like that.
So basically the safe thing is to call the city, do I need to get a permit?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
What if it's in a historic district?
Oh, boy. If it's an historic district, you have other guidelines. No, okay.
To feed off in his question, what about siding? What if my husband's a contractor, he does all the siding? Does
Sure,
he need to pull a permit for that?
you still need a permit for that.
Society.
Siding?
Yeah, you're re-siding the whole house.
My
So-
house was built in 1886, it's got aluminum siding on it.
Is it in the historic district?
No, city.
Okay.
It's an export, yeah.
But now, I'm not reciting the whole house, it's just from wind damage from 2 years ago that I have to replace on certain sections of the house.
Are we talking a couple of little pieces here and there?
I'm talking about 2 square.
Then we don't care. If you're doing the whole house, then we do care.
And let me make sure we get your name so we don't be out there tagging him for something.
Red tag.
Let me get your name. You know, before you leave here, let's just make sure we connect, okay?
Sue knows me, Chris knows me,
Okay.
13 years.
Okay,
My boss.
that's why I said, oh, wait a minute, we done opened
One
up a
house
can,
at a time.
we done opened up a can of worms. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so, what about fencing?
Oh, you gotta get a permit.
Absolutely for fencing. And I know that seems like overreach, but I want you to think about, let's say that, I don't know, anybody here live on a corner lot maybe or something, and somebody's gonna come around, they're gonna pull out of the alley in that corner lot, you put your fencing too close. Now you've created a hazard. Some little child's gonna be coming home from kindergarten, and you're gonna run them over before you know that they're even there. Okay, so there are reasons why we want permits for fencing. We can't let you fence in the whole front yard 6 foot tall, because that poor little girl stopped trying to sell you cookies, who opens that gate to go to your front door, is gonna get eaten by your big bulldog, okay? So we have reasons for why we do what we do. It's not to be mean, it's not to limit you, but we have reasons for why we do what we do. Fencing is one of those important reasons that, yes, if you're gonna do, if you're replacing one panel because it fell down because somebody broke it, or, you know, whatever, I don't care about one panel. If you're doing fencing, though, absolutely.
And property lines, I had that happen
Yes.
too.
And then I have, a general question. What is your procedure before and after you send a resident / homeowner, a code violation letter?
That's more of a Chris question, but first thing you're gonna do, and everybody needs to do this, the first thing you're gonna do is contact that person who sent you that. Look at the name on there, contact that person, talk to them about it, find out what happened. Okay, they're gonna give you the ideas of what, there are so many things that could have gone wrong that you got the violation letter for. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but first thing you gotta do is contact them, find out what's up. Don't ignore the letter, whatever you do, don't ignore it.
Thank you.
That it?
All right. Anybody give you anything yet? Anybody turn any forms in?
Nobody gave me anything.
Okay, all right. What's next? Question. Okay. Oh, yes, Tommy.
Yeah, this is Tommy Kalab, 1316 Ohio Street. It's really nice you're gonna put up this Puri mural on the boulevard. Are we gonna get the raised infrastructure grant so we can reconstruct the boulevard this year?
I hope so.
Go through again.
I know, right? We did resubmit. Again, I have no control over the federal funds, but if not, the boulevard is one of those things that I hope we don't have to piecemeal together and do a small section at a time. But we know there's some old pipes in there. I know one of the projects that we do have some funding for, at Michigan Boulevard and 8th Street, I don't want to get it wrong. I know we're working on some housing over there that we have to relocate some utilities, which one thing that is different, this came up, I don't know if this was Monday or last Friday, but someone asked the question, well, you tear up the street, you put something in and then you tear it up again because of water or this or that. And so the team tries to, meet on a regular basis now. And that includes water, sanitation, engineering. We have more regular meetings than ever before. They weren't staff meetings before. So the goal is anytime we open up the road, everybody knows that we're opening the road so that we all can plan accordingly and try to do it one time versus, we should have, we did Michigan Boulevard, but we didn't replace any pipes or anything, right? We got old pipes and then we're gonna open up the road and not replace the pipes. That's stupid. right? So the goal is to do things once, or at least make it, have an opportunity where we put things in case of, whether it's fiber or something else. I know Andy from IT is here. We're trying to, get fiber throughout the city, but we've shot ourselves in the foot multiple times where we've done a project only to go in and tear it up to do something else. And we're trying not to do that. We're trying to be more fiscally sound with the money, making sure we do things the right way the first time. So that's kind of where we're at. But I don't have a good answer for you on Michigan Boulevard, but I know that Michigan Boulevard is a priority for me. And hopefully, now that it's all inside of a TIF, we're finally starting to really capture money in one of our other TIFs that's down there, and maybe, we're going to have to utilize that money for Michigan Boulevard. So, yes, Mr. Mellon.
Hello, I'm Scott Mellon. I've been involved in going to a lot of meetings over the last year and a half. I see a lot of positive things in Michigan City, as most of you in the city have heard me be positive as much as possible. But respectfully, the answer from Ms. Downs from the building department was far too ambiguous.
On which one? Which thing?
What a homeowner is allowed to do.
Well, I would say this. The code is the code. If someone wants that, if they come in, we'll print it off for them. But I will say this, because I see Brian back there. Me and Brian, Mr. Gross have had many discussions. The Indianapolis code, for instance, I really like it, and we need to get there. But again, restructuring that whole department, that's one of the items that is on the list, is updating the code, because they list everything that you can do without pulling a permit. It's very comprehensive. Ours is very vague. So again, or more vague than it should be. So I agree.
If you'd allow me to continue, because historically people can work on their own homes.
Yes.
In all aspects, actually. As we all know, the building and planning department is going through change and improvements right now, and I respect the process is towards a better end. But we're making extra work for ourselves on a backlog department. It's like we're creating the problem ourselves. Even issuing your 500 permits in 90 days is only 5.5 permits a day. I think we're making it too complicated, and
60 days.
that means, okay, got me on that one.
All right.
But it's still not a huge number of permits.
Right.
It's a backlog, and we make people get permits for too little, in my opinion.
Right.
So we're sort of creating the problem. And in America, we always say we want less regulation.
I agree.
So having a consolidated code, perhaps the Zinke code is a better way. I don't think we should be reinventing the wheel as to what codes are.
Oh, I agree. I don't think we should be reinventing the wheel either. So everything that you said is valid, and don't disagree. I think, though, we have had a historical situation occurring over a period of time. Getting away from paper is one thing, but also, I was talking with the contractor. We're scheduling a roundtable with contractors, and just actually a sound off with contractors, but then just to tell me all the good, the bad, the ugly. And part of it is we spend a lot of time going back and forth with individuals on permits. It's not because, it's because there's not enough information. The backlog, the time that it takes on a permit, is because we're not getting all the information up front. But because of who we are, we've always handheld people through the process. Time is money, money is time. So if I'm going back and forth, and Sue can attest to it, everybody can attest to it, they may have to go back and forth 10 times with someone on one permit, And, well, you're taking too long. Well, we keep asking you for the information and we're not getting it. So there's an education piece that we have to do. And when I say that, I said, well, we need a checklist. We just talked about it. I said, I need a checklist. You give it to everybody. Everybody should be able to see it. And they should, hey, you come with your stuff, you get your stuff in 15, 20 minutes. But if I gotta email you day after day and send you a notification, now it's taking this much time when it could have took, I don't know how much time. There was one group of permits you were able to knock out 15 in a day because they provided everything. So that's a thing.
My final little example of the ambiguity, our fence code. It's 3 paragraphs long. It's very simple in my eyes to understand what it is. The good side has to face out, no matter what fencing style. And front yards and side yards have very clear rules. I live next to, I know someone who just said, who had a backward fence. It was grandfathered. It's an old fence. But he wanted to replace it. And I'm like, he's like, do you mind if I do it that way? And I'm like, yeah, actually I do.
Right.
But his argument is, I'll just call it a repair. We need to define how much fencing is repair versus, no, you're not grandfathered anymore.
Right.
So the ambiguity is an issue. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Let's see, would it be possible to align the beautification project with veteran-owned business? Alex could hire veteran even if they have record issues getting hired. First of all, the beautification projects are, number one, going to be volunteer-based. That group of people will be working through it, and there's going to be beautification grant money set aside for projects throughout the city. It's ARPA dollars that the city council approved last year. But again, we're working through that. I want the committee to finalize that. But there will be funding. We're not hiring contractors or anything like that. Now, I do believe now with the Veterans Commission becoming more active, there should be a veterans registry that the city keeps. And get, veterans groups that have small businesses, but to get them on the list so that we can share that. I think that's a wonderful way to get veterans on jobs that are local. But just like with any contractor, they need to be registered. And I think we should do something to support that. So that would be my answer. The city isn't physically hiring someone to do beautification. These are going to be neighborhood groups doing what they would like to do in their neighborhoods. We're talking about seed programs. We purchased a trailer that organizations will be able to check out if they want to do a cleanup. I would like to thank Caitlin, Ace Hardware. They outfitted the first trailer. They're outfitting it with all the tools and everything needed for the cleanup. So we appreciate them for doing that as well. The other one, how can you tell if you're in an enterprise zone? This is a great, I'm going to channel my Public Works Director, Wendy, channel her energy. We're mapping everything in GIS now and trying to make sure we have better maps so that people can access, put their address in and know if they're in an enterprise zone or if they want to see a TIF or the urban enterprise zone, whatever it is. The maps are interesting, but we need something that's a little bit more user-friendly where you can just pop your address in and it tells you versus trying to look at the squiggly lines and blow it up and see what's what. So we are starting to map, properties that can, anything that's, demolition, you name it, we're trying to map it. The other thing that I know that they had a workshop on was Airbnbs, short-term rentals. This is a conversation across the state around short-term rentals and what can be done because there are additional resources that are used. So there's, heads or tails, what side of the coin you're on. I think people have pros and cons. I will say Airbnbs are a business though. They are a business and we need to treat them like a business. And if you're taxing the residents and neighborhoods and taxing city services, you are a business. That's my opinion. And we should act as such. So, so we just need to make sure, because cities are revamping all their rental, short-term rental ordinances right now around Airbnbs, because it's taking up a lot of energy and a lot of time. And I feel like established neighborhoods suffer, especially when they've been established without high rentals. Yes, ma'am.
So is the city gonna start taxing these Airbnbs more? Are they gonna do something to collect taxes from them?
There's
I
nothing.
can have one down the street.
I'll say this, and I'm gonna say it. They must have they had a very good lobbyist downstate, the third party rental organizations, because they have pretty much, we are handcuffed on what we can charge. We can only charge a one-time permit fee. We can't charge a renewal. It's in state statute. It's the law.
So is this something I need to take down the state?
You know what, that's a great idea for us to do something like that. They're gonna come after me.
I don't have to enter your name.
No, I'm fine with it, because I don't agree with it. There were some things I was trying to do and I thought we could do, and then I was found, the attorney told me we couldn't do it. I will tell you, Carmel and Fishers were putting caps on certain things, and rental properties and some other things. And in the thick of the night, you know, during the last week of session, they tried to put some language in state statute to kind of nix it, and they didn't get it done. So
I just see it, very long summer, and I really don't want to bother the police department too much.
you know what? That's what they're there for. I think I'd rather have more. I'd rather have data that shows if we got a nuisance property, we need to have records of it.
Okay,
And
good enough.
that's what I'm saying. And I think some of the things we can do with the code, though, today I sent an ordinance over to our attorney from another city, and it puts some restrictions on the number of vehicles, the number of people in some of these homes. So I think there are some things that we can do legislatively around outside of the fee that should be able to help us manage the process a little bit. So I sent over a couple of cities that had some really good language in it. Because I know, I didn't go to the last meeting, but this has been a topic amongst the mayors. Everybody's concerned with abandoned properties, rental properties that aren't being kept up, and short-term rentals are all big.
Not all of them are bad.
Oh, no,
But there have been a couple.
but think about it this way, this is more extreme than I could have ever imagined. You have some cities who are putting a cap in established neighborhoods on even just rentals. So that's a little bit further extreme, but they want to keep the fabric of the neighborhood intact without it being overrun. And they're putting a cap of a certain percentage. But think about, we have neighborhoods that are over 50% rentals. And now we have people coming from outside that don't live anywhere near here, rehabbing homes and turning it into Airbnb. So we're looking for a legal way of working the process to make sure that we're not overrun by those. Yes, Mr. Beachy.
The one thing that I got from going to that meeting, the first workshop on short-term rentals, is that something she just said, that a lot of people are doing it the right way, a few are not doing it the right way.
That's correct.
And they all have to have a permit, but I don't know that they all have a permit. I don't know that we've been really good about keeping their feet to the fire. But one suggestion came out of that I really liked, And it was that before you get a permit, the fire marshal has to visit your house, and the fire marshal determines how many people you can have in that home, and you can't have more than that.
Yep.
That would eliminate, excuse me, the big parties.
And I'll repeat that because that was in one of the ordinances. So, having some type of inspection by the fire marshal, making sure there's fire extinguishers, all those different things, since it's a business, and making sure that happens. We did, Christine, did work on getting a list together of the registry and people who have not registered that we know are third-party renters. But the city, we can cite them. The city gets no money from it, even though they hadn't paid and they never registered. We can write a citation because the state says it has to be, it's a citation. So it has to go to the prosecutor's office and then it does its thing, where we get nothing for the penalty. So, because I had the list together thinking, oh, we're going to get them, right? But why, you put a lot of energy into something where you're going to write a citation, and it's going to go to the prosecutor's office and then to the state. So, yeah, we have to figure out some better ways of making sure that they're doing what's right by the neighborhoods and the people who live in those neighborhoods. I do have, let's see, enterprise zone. Spring cleanup is over. What are you doing to pick up leaves, branches, etc., appliances and furniture? I'm gonna go back to this because we spent a lot of time and energy on this last year. So now that I've spent a lot of time researching all these neighboring communities and everybody in almost Indiana, we're one of the only towns that doesn't charge anything additional for garbage at all. You go ask your county friends, go ask all the neighboring communities, ask everybody in LaPorte County, ask Porter County, Lake County, Stark County, you name it. My taxes pay for garbage. Your taxes don't cover everything. I'm gonna be clear, there will be some people that don't agree, and I'm okay with that. Numbers don't lie. We do fall and spring cleanup. Go look at all the other cities that do spring and fall cleanup. You might find a couple, maybe. We don't charge for compost. Check any other city or town, they charge for compost pickup. So, we're getting to a point where we need to make sure, trucks, we're finally starting to replace these garbage trucks. We got a couple coming in August. We got a grapple truck that can pick up furniture that's coming in August. And this is one of those things that I know I put Chris Jagelski is working on a dumpster program because I don't think we have enough options. If we're gonna pull back any resource, I gotta provide an additional resource to make sure I make up for what we're not doing, right? So we've identified a couple of sites that we're working on to put dumpsters out on, and we'll have set dates throughout the year, and we'll have it manned where residents can come, bring whatever they need to bring. They do it in other cities, and we want to make sure that we provide that. But I think it's an education piece too. We don't spend enough time talking about recycling and some other things. They just started picking up compost this past week. It didn't start till May 12th. And there were several people that called in and got theirs picked up. The other thing is we are answering the phones for these pickups, right? This Kentone system that we're talking about. We can put in any application software, but if our folks ain't using it, so we got our own internal things that we're working through to make sure that our employees are using the system, because this is the thing. Any employee, and I'm talking to all the department heads right now, anybody that sees something should say something. Just because refuse is driving around, but whenever I see a pile, I immediately send an email and a text message to someone saying, hey, you need to go out there on 212, that is a pile out there, this guy did it again, right? We have repeat offenders. Repeat offenders are being cited. I sent, I had a resident call me and complain about a neighbor. And when I looked up the neighbor, I sent it over to code enforcement, and lo and behold, it had violations in other places, right? So it's a concerted effort. We are working through that. They're working Saturdays. I told them, work the overtime you need to work. If you need to work every Saturday, work every Saturday. It's what it is. And trucks, like I said, trying to keep them maintained. We spent way too much money on maintenance for trucks, for garbage trucks last year, but hopefully a couple of those are gonna be replaced. So we got 3 coming in August that we paid for last year. So that's a struggle. But like I said, this trash task force, I'm hoping that they come up with some good recommendations on what we can do differently, even from just a workforce standpoint. And we have our sidearm trucks finally that are out there working. We're trying to actually move to a 4-day garbage pickup. We can't do that till the fall now. And where Friday is just all pickups, and then figuring that out. So working through that, that's a special project that I have for Chris, so we'll get to that. The other one was, what are the plans for Marquette Mall? I hope to have something for you in a couple of months. Actually, maybe less than a month. But that's all I got for you. That's why people sign NDAs. But you know what? Probably sooner than you think that there might be some things happening. That's all I can say about Marquette Mall. And the last one I had on here, it says, I understand about the beautification along the boulevard, but the plants and the planters along the middle street have become a hazard. While trying to make it a left turn, is it possible to lower the plant levels? Yes. We actually shared accident reports, and we pulled together all the accident reports along Michigan Boulevard to talk about that. What we should do differently. I don't like the planters in the middle. As far as trees, the heights of the trees and all those different things, or brush being increased. So that is something, and I will make sure, Tim, let's make sure the landscape group. So we do, I see Brad here too. We do have a group of folks working on landscaping, and they haven't met in a little while, but they were meeting on a regular basis. We probably need to make sure that growth doesn't happen this year. Who's responsible for potholes in Marquette Mall parking lot? The owners are. Citizens used to get to the visitor center, buses, post office, and other businesses located in that area. Uses the parking lot a lot. A few have been filled, but you still know it's there. Also, after storm, lots of debris. Man, we have more windstorms than we have rainstorms right now. After storms, a lot of debris. That's correct. That's a statement. But as far as the Marquette Mall parking lot, the owners are actually responsible for the parking lot and not the city. I had someone at the Exchange Club say, all these potholes, in the city. I'm like, well, have you been to some other cities? They're everywhere right now. It's after the season. That's what happens. We start filling potholes. That's everywhere. It's a thing. Because I paid for 2 flat tires my daughter had in the month of March. Yeah, March. Caught 2 flat. So Not here, though, that was in Indianapolis, but still nonetheless, it's pothole season. And we're working through that to get potholes filled. Yes, sir.
Speaking of the Exchange Club, you gave a very positive, energetic talk on all the projects that are happening. Can you do that?
Sure. I'm hoping to have a screen projector at the next one we do so that we can kind of go through projects and things, but we're getting ready to have the ribbon cutting next month for the parking garage. The facade is up, so that's happening. I think everybody sees the structure going up downtown. The street will be back open in about a week.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, hallelujah. So Franklin Street will be open tomorrow. So that project has spawned multiple projects. We have several new restaurants that have opened. The Moore, if you're over off of Moore Road, off of Highway 12, you'll see all the tree clearing that is occurring over there for townhomes that are going in. We have Tryon Meadows, that's a new subdivision that's going in. Woodland Ridge has started out there by the high school. We're working with a couple of churches right now on affordable housing and infill housing. We were part of 2 Lilly Gift Aid grants that one of the grants is around housing for LaPorte County. So Michigan City was blessed to be a part of 2 successful applications, but that particular money is specifically around support to the planning department, looking at our code, a little bit of money to help us with that, money with the relocation of some utilities for the project, the Singing Sands project that we're working through for workforce housing at 8th and Michigan Boulevard. And what else? Oh, and then there's a chunk of money that was set aside specifically around infill, F-I-L-L, infill housing, that we have these sites that are scattered throughout the city, that if we could come up with some basic plans that it make it easier for whether it's a local church that owns it, wherever. And we're also looking into land banking and some other things as well, so that we can keep housing affordable in established neighborhoods. So that is happening. And yes.
We also got the Safe Streets for All action plan for safety.
Oh, that's right.
We're gonna start that this year too.
Yeah, so we do have that money.
Safety issues all over the city.
Yep, so the Safe Streets for All money that we had is about street safety as well. So I'll think of a couple more and I'll add some more to that. We got Mr. Pripolinski. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know your, Paul, Chris Bornsky, 1716 Washington Street, lifetime resident of the 2nd Ward. I'd like to know, Mayor, your position on a group drug addiction home being recommended to be put in on Ann and Wabash Street.
I don't support it.
For 20, let me finish. Then it's a no. People have been doing research. It's a known that when those things go in, it depreciates your home value between 12 and 18%. So we already have a problem with the Keys of Hope on Franklin Street. And if there's anybody else that's in here that lives in that neighborhood, I would suggest that you go to the township assessor and appeal your taxes and do it before June 15th, because that's what I'm gonna do, because I want my taxes reduced just from the Keys of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't support it.
Well, a couple of things. So I'll let you ask your next question, but let me say this. I support the concept of a respite home. I support the concept of a respite home. I think there is a need for a respite home. I don't think that's the appropriate location for the respite home. Now, let me say this. I did have a conversation with the hospital, and I did have a conversation and talked to them and told them my stance. I met with several business owners and got input from them, and I wrote a letter to the CEO, and then we did meet last week. But I also had a conversation with another organization that has may have an opportunity for a location. I'm not just gonna say I don't support it, I do. So it's up to me to find alternative solutions for it then, if I support it. Not for me just to say no. So I've been doing that. So I've been having meetings for the last 2 weeks to identify other options. I have a meeting next week to share those options. And then I have another meeting on June 4th with the Respite Home Committee. So to say that is that we're gonna figure this thing out. We're gonna figure it out. I don't think that's the proper place for it, in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's what we're moving towards.
My second question is this. A lot of people don't know that legislation has been passed to put an additional tax on your car registration, I call it wheel tax.
Yes.
Do you support implementing that at the full spectrum of the limit or at the minimum, which I think the minimum is $7?
Well, I will say this, I support the wheel tax if we need it to further keep our streets done. We're not forced to implement the wheel tax right now. So the legislation did not pass where we have to do it. If you pass a wheel tax, the new legislation states that there's an extra bucket of money you're going to be eligible for if you pass it. So there's two things to that. And I just actually asked the controller today to ask Baker Tilly to give us the numbers. What do the numbers look like for us? And what does it generate? So let me give you an example. So right now, every year we apply for CCNG. This is Community Crossings Grant. We are responsible for 50% of that money. So right now, it used to be, I think now it's 3 million, we're eligible for 1.5 million, and then you get 3 million, right? Is that right, Jim?
It's 50/50, but.
It's 50/50, but they.
Times a year, so. You
Right, 50/50. So in order to get the match, we have to get 50%. With the wheel tax, there's gonna be this formula that they come up with that, I don't know the formula yet. That's what I asked the controller to check on. Where if you pass a wheel tax, and it can be the minimum or it can be the maximum, it doesn't matter, I don't believe in the legislation. You're eligible based on your road mileage for this bucket of money forevermore. So, let's say we're doing the budget and we get into the tax, or a crunch on finances, and we don't have the full $500,000 for the match for $1 million in road work. Well, if we have a wheel tax, we automatically get this amount every year, no matter what. So right now, we're getting the analysis, and if we're gonna get the same bucket of money regardless, it just depends. But that's what we're looking at. And I will make sure at the next meeting that I have those numbers, and we can hand them out to everybody to see what that is. So minimum or maximum, the state legislation, I don't think it impacts that amount of money for us. So, hey, if we're gonna get it regardless, if we pass minimum or the max, I'm good with that.
Okay, my last thing is this. I live a block away from Keys of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
3 Sundays ago, I was outside at 5:45 in the morning with my dogs. Down there, they're arguing, sounds like they're gonna have a fight,
Okay.
and this is a constant negative in our area, especially for people that live right around there. I make a phone call to the police department, I get 911. I thought it was a mistake. I said, no, ma'am, I don't need 911. So I call again, the regular number for the police department. I get 911 again. So I told the lady, no, I don't need 911. So I waited till 6:30, I'm on my way to work. The phone call goes through at the police department, and I talked to, I asked for the shift commander, and I get told that they've been doing this since last August, or last year sometime. And I thought that we passed the tax, the council did when I was on the council, so we would get a full complement of people and have full staff command. And I was flabbergasted that there wasn't somebody at the desk. And I asked for a call back, and I haven't got a call back yet. My thing is this, how can it's not a 911 call, but if I can't get a hold of somebody at the desk, I don't have anything. And I think that, as you said earlier, to get data, that's how you get data on a problem.
Right.
And that's our problem in our neighborhood. Even though, I mean, it's a social service agency, it is a real problem. It really is in the neighborhood, a constant, constant. So
I agree with
I
that.
wanted to bring that to your attention, because I already brought it to my brother's attention, because I think we supported that tax. So I would like to know, did they put an extra officer out on midnights? Do you know about this situation, or?
No, but if you call and you got 911 and it's a non-emergency, you still can talk to
I
them.
want to know what they did with the person. Did they put them on the streets to give us more coverage on midnights, or what's going on?
That's not something I'm gonna answer right here.
Oh, I can answer that, Mayor, that's okay.
Come on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that's exactly what we did. We surveyed our calls for, I would say, our phone calls that we received on the midnight shift, and
And they were minimal.
it was minimal, right? We didn't see, it's essentially a waste of a police officer in our eyes. So in which what we did is those non-emergency calls get routed to the non-emergency line at the 911 center.
But certain times of the,
From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
okay.
So those non-emergency calls that traditionally come to the police department just get routed to the non-emergency 911 line, right? You can call the Fort County E911 on a non-emergency line. Again, when they answer the phone, they say 911, but again, it's a non-emergency line. So again, there was minimal need for the police department to have an officer on midnight shift manning the desk.
But they are out on
So for
patrol.
that, right, we made our minimum, of like a +1 on the night shift, right? Where traditionally we have 6 districts in Michigan City, where we would have a minimum of 6 officers and desk officers, well now we have 7 on the street. So effectively, we added, where we saw the value, we added another person to the street instead of answering phone calls as a receptionist. So we're paying police officers, not receptionists. So, that's where we saw the value in that was to make that change. So
That's good.
those calls, essentially, I would say get expedited. So, because when non-emergency comes into the police department, we then enter it into our computer CAD system, who then, E911 gets on the same CAD system and then dispatches. So now we're eliminating,
The middleman.
the middleman, right? Instead of us entering those calls for service, they go directly to 911, they enter it and dispatch essentially, more efficient.
So then are you saying they call 911 all the time?
No, it's not emergency, it's a different phone line that rings, it's a different ringtone that comes in, and if you call 911, it's a priority call, it goes in on a different line, it rings differently in the center. Again, we have is it 87?
Yeah, it's.
872, I think.
Yes,
I know, but I'm just.
yeah.
There's like 872, there's 9 emergency lines for the E911 center.
Thank you, that's a good question. Yes, Councilman Dabney.
I just want something that you said, and I want you to clear it up, just for clarification's sake. You were talking about the wheel tax, and you said that you would have information by the next meeting?
The next, our next town hall meeting, it's not until August or
Right,
something.
and I heard that and was thinking maybe somebody might think the next council meeting.
No.
I just wanted to clarify.
No, because last year we pulled the numbers, for the maximum, last year, because we thought we were gonna be forced, in this legislative session to pass a wheel tax. So, like I said, now I've asked, Mary Lynn, to get with Baker Tilly to give us the data on the incentive, the carrot they're trying to put in front of us, to see what that generates. Because as the budget gets tighter, we may not have the matching dollars every time. I've been, basically, asking the redevelopment commission, to kick in and trying to find streets around TIF areas to help offset, the match. But I think now we're getting to that point where we gotta figure it out as we start entering, this year we got the CCNG, we gotta have 1.5, we got the maximum amount. So we're doing 2 million. Tim, what was the maximum, what did we get from CCNG?
Last year we got 3 million.
So we're doing 3 million.
1.5.
Yeah, so we're doing 3 million in roads this year, again. But this year we added additional money for sidewalks, with ARPA dollars. So we had about $200,000 for our sidewalks this year.
300,000 we spent in the budget.
Yeah, so we added more money for sidewalks this year, so, and trying to get more of those done. I'll add a couple more things I shared at the Exchange Club. So that was really around, we talked about a couple of the housing opportunities. Kaylin just opened up on Michigan Boulevard. We have the facade program now for businesses on the boulevard. We've given out 1 or 2 now. So if you're a local business on Michigan Boulevard, you're eligible for that. You just come in to City Hall and get the application, and it will be available. We got the internships that are starting, so you'll see those folks around. And I'm trying to think of what else did I share?
I love beautiful.
Oh, so we're moving the You Are Beautiful sign. But right now, and I'll come up with the trail, talk about the trail, but the You Are Beautiful sign is going to be moving over across from the skate park. And we're going to have water, we're going to have restrooms, little parking area. So that's going to become a thing and a site. And, residents come, people come through, tag Michigan City, whatever it is. But that's going to move. Right now, they're still working through things with solar, but again, preparing for that to happen. So, what other projects? I'm trying to think what else. I felt like I shared so much in that short period of time. But again, I think people see the investment in Michigan City. The other thing is our destination playground. Been sharing that a lot with some folks. Had a meeting yesterday with a bank. Told them that we need some money. And so Shannon, you would be proud of me. So we are hoping to kick off a matching grant opportunity for local businesses that are here. And we're asking for we're not talking a few thousand, 25,000 here and there to support that. So we're gonna be amping up the fundraising for that as well. So, and the Destination Playground, you can look it up and see there's a beautiful video for that in Fetters Alley. So that'll be coming as well. Yes,
So, just wondering, so I know that one time Silver Internet was coming around, and I know Frontier from before, and right now we're just capitalized by Comcast, and I don't know, you look at your bills, like it just keeps on going, it's higher your rent.
Mm-hmm.
Is there gonna be availability for other services, so there's more competition, so there's better pricing?
We hope so, but one thing I will say, I'm just gonna say this, and I said it at the power breakfast. I know they don't like when I say this, but I'm gonna say it. We don't accept mediocrity anymore. People can't just come in and think they're gonna do stuff to Michigan City. You can come in, but you gotta follow the rules. And so the goal is to have other options, but you gotta follow the rules. That's it. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering about the water park at Washington Park.
Oh, does that exist? The splash pad.
The splash pad and also the fountain down by the harbor.
I think decisions were made on both at the park board. I think the fountain is going to be demolished in the fall, and the splash pad
Splash pad is open.
is open.
It'll be operational all summer if it's 70 degrees or above, and if we don't have inclement weather such as lightning in the area, and it is free.
The splash pad is free, it'll be open, and as long as it's 70 degrees or above, it's available.
So it's 11 to 4 daily, and you can rent it out 5 to 7 p.m. in the evenings for private parties.
So 11 to 4 daily, and I didn't know it could be rented out for private parties from 5 to 7. That's a new one on me. Zoo, go visit our zoo. All right, yes ma'am.
When I first moved to Michigan City, there was a lot of talk about taking down the NIPSCO plant or decommissioning. Is there any movement there?
I met with NIPSCO.
What was the question?
There's a lot of talk when she moved here about the decommissioning of the NIPSCO plant. Met with NIPSCO about 6 weeks ago, I think. Less, 4 weeks ago. Time just moves along. And we did talk about the site. I talked about what I would like to see and things. They didn't really have anything to offer me on what they were gonna do with it. There was nothing that changed from when I met with them a year ago. Right? So, because my question, well, I'll just say this. We pulled it up on the screen. I told them what I would like and what I would like to have if I could have it today. And said, you go back and look and share with them all the parcels, because I'm a picture person, so I'm like, yeah, you didn't know you had this, and that, and just really talking about that site as a whole, because all of the site hasn't been utilized with coal ash. There's other parts of it that's clean. And me being selfish, just give me all the clean parts right now. And then you guys can figure out the dirty part, But, and that was me laughing, but being dead serious about it. I think there's some opportunities for access with our national park and also with the lakefront to the west side. So anytime I'm in those rooms, I try to crack a joke, but I'm really dead serious about what I'm asking them to do. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know what's going to happen there. You saw the news with the rate increase and the people that are came against it and what they're asking for. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to use it for some other type of energy. I don't know what that looks like. They told me once they get to that space, now we're meeting more. So now we're meeting. We're supposed to meet bi-monthly instead of twice a year. So I'm assuming something is going to start happening because now we're gonna be meeting more often, so. But really, nothing has changed since last year.
How about the prison, anything going on?
So the prison, actually had a meeting yesterday. We haven't been inside yet though. So earlier this year, we did meet some of the newer people with the state. And the goal was to get some of the schematics and to get access to a tour inside the prison. We haven't done that yet. But I know there's gonna be another public meeting that's gonna be occurring. Clarence, do we have a date for that yet? I think it's in the calendar, no, but there's gonna be another public meeting. But the steering committee, expanding committee, which is comprised of residents, business, city officials, we have a meeting. So, and the consultants that are foreign associates that have been running it, we have a meeting to discuss it and kind of look at, you know, what's there, and the cemetery and the different buildings that are on that site. But the one thing that we do know is that we don't know the condition of any of the buildings. You know, Clarence and I visited a different prison that had been redeveloped, but the buildings were in decent shape. We don't know the condition of anything here. All I know is that it was going to take $500,000 to rehab it, to get it to basic working conditions. So that tells me the buildings may not be in that great shape. So, you know, and we don't own it. Someone was like, you know, I said, we don't own these buildings and we don't want them if they want me to. If they want the city to pay for something, we don't want it, okay? You know, we'll see. I just think that I'm just more along the lines is the city wants to say so on whatever happens there. You know, regardless of what happens there, we should have a say so on what it is. We don't want them dropping it into some developer's hands and then all of a sudden, we don't get a say so. And I think the letter of intent with Governor Holcomb was really about us being a part of the process and having a say so. So more to come, but we'll make sure whenever we get the dates for the next public meeting that we push that out.
Is that historic?
I would say we got into a whole discussion on historic. You know, is it a historic site or are there historic buildings? And those are very technical terms, so I don't want to talk out of turn. Because the site that we went to, there were buildings that were declared historic and then there were buildings that weren't, because of the technical specifications that they were able to tear down certain things because they weren't historic technically. So I think that's a whole thing. And it was based on whether they were using state or federal tax credits. And in that particular case, they used both. So yeah, when you start talking historic districts and buildings, that's a lot. That's not my cup of tea. I try to stay away from it. So, but that has to be taken into consideration with that site, for sure. Yes, Scott.
Everyone, about the prison, I came across on YouTube this really interesting behind-the-scenes thing. It's British production from a page called Real Stories. And it's actually titled Indiana State's Most Dangerous Maximum Security Prisons. But this is a British interviewer who was given full access, and you can see what it is like inside the prison. And it's really an interesting thing. So you have your general population, which is sort of like television. Don't want to go there. You've got the barber shop, which is people who work there, they have more rights. But there's actually a whole section, a room bigger than this, that has low-rise walls. And each one of those pens is their space. So it's a really interesting behind-the-scenes mix of what's going on in the prison. It's very long form, actually.
What do you search? What does it say?
Michigan City Prisons, and you'll get it, but it's,
Michigan City Prison.
Real Stories is the channel. Again, it's British, so it's not inflammatory. And coincidentally, you're also on death row there. He's interviewed people on death row, including the man who was just executed.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting to see how passive and angelic people are after 20 or 25 years in prison,
Right.
versus hearing about the crime that he committed. Anyway, I really suggest people check it out. It's a really interesting behind-the-scenes look at our prison. It's quite eye-opening.
Thank you.
Guys on death row get to have cats.
Anyway, any other questions? Any other questions? All right, well, our time, yes, sir.
This has been very informative, I really appreciate this. But the thought that comes to mind, is there some way the city can have educational and informative communications with residents in print form regularly? That would just, just be awesome. I'm listening to people here, I think we're all learning so much. I'd like to get a regular feed on this.
Yes, so let me say this. I will say, part of my goal list had that on there last year when I took office, and it just didn't happen. I think we'll get there. We did do some communication in the water bill, and we didn't do one this last month because my church members were beating me up about compost. So we didn't do, no, I'm just playing. They were beating me up though about following the rules of the trash ordinance. But we do want to do a newsletter. That was my intent. I actually had interns help me get it started last year. And just being in the weeds, trying to get the right people hired for the right jobs and making sure that we provide basic services so that, because I don't mind doing this, and this is the craziness. People are like, you're not on the radio, you're not doing this as much as you used to, and I feel like because I'm a working mayor, and I'm like, I don't know if the engineer brain in me is making me do that, but I'm not, I'm typically communicating all the time, and so I'm trying to get back to that. And I've already said that to my mom, who helps keep me organized, and everybody else, that we need to, Kelly on my team, is that we need to get some regular communication out, whether it's an email blast, it goes in the water bill, whatever it is. And I haven't even been doing the radio like I used to, and I'm like, I'm gonna work on it. Yes, Kelly?
Just so that you know, Mayor does have, I guess bi-weekly, the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. If it's not Mayor, a different department head is on WEFM at 8:15 in the morning, talking about various city projects or initiatives, or just general information. So always tune in, 8:15 in the morning, WBFM, second and fourth Thursdays.
Coffee with the seniors.
We do coffee with the seniors on the last Tuesday of every month. I don't know if that's only for senior center members. I'm not really sure. If you have a
Anybody should be able to come.
Yeah, it's like, and if you don't, I would sticker, but I assume.
But coffee with the seniors, we do this. We do the same thing.
It is just like this, from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., last Tuesday of the month. I think every month except December, I'm pretty sure. And if Mayor can't be here, then department heads go, and I'm usually there as well. Follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook page, the name carried over from a couple of administrations ago when they had the whole Michigan City branding. So our Facebook page, our official city Facebook page is My Michigan City, Indiana. We send press releases, we have water bill inserts, but we're trying to get to you guys.
Yeah, we, again, not where I want to be. And that's something that we're gonna work on. That's definitely something I wanted something to go out monthly. I think monthly, we have enough going on in Michigan City. Monthly, we can probably have good content and keep people up to date. Tommy, you are last.
And I know we spent a lot of money with the Sarah Group, but what's the new website now launch?
Well, let me tell you about that. We actually went through, it's pretty much ready, except for, I'm trying not to be, yeah, I am. I'm trying not to be perfectionist about it. But we've already gone through it, the frame is done, but I had to go ahead and launch the police website first. I think police, it's a couple that they've done already.
Well, we're next.
You're in there, we're coming first and then the park department. So we ended up doing more websites than what we originally planned. So the police is done, fire, they're midst of, airport. So I didn't realize how many separate websites we had. So it ended up being a bigger thing than what was expected. But we've gone through all of our pages, submitted all the changes that we needed done, but it's pretty much built. We got to turn it on. So I just don't want to turn it on. We want to make sure all the links are working. I'm just being a perfectionist. We're going to pay the money, you need to do it right. So, but it's ready. All right, that was it. So thank you, everyone. 1 minute over, 7:01. So thank you all for coming. Until the next one.